Welcome to RECAPLY X, your movie recap in a flash. We bring the drama, the action, and the twists. In minutes, the movie begins in a city called Grant, and we learn that a long time ago, two young twin brothers with superpowers lived in this city. The brothers' names were Samaritan and Nemesis, and their superpowers set them apart from everyone else. But because they were still young, they couldn't control their powers and caused trouble in the city. That's why all the townspeople avoided and hated them. One day, the townspeople waited for them to fall asleep, gathered around their house, and set it on fire. But the surprise was that the twins managed to survive the fire. Unfortunately, their father and mother died in the fire. From that moment, the twins were separated. Samaritan became a hero, defending the townspeople from any evil, while his brother Nemesis wanted revenge on the people of the city for what they did to their parents. That's why the twins had to face each other more than once. Every time they faced off, Samaritan would always have the upper hand over Nemesis. Because of this, Nemesis created a super hammer to kill Samaritan. Nemesis set a trap for his brother, lured him to the power plant, and tried to finish him off with the hammer. But the plant exploded with both of them inside, and both died in the explosion. However, there are rumors that Samaritan survived the explosion and is living in disguise in the city. 20 years after these events, we see a young boy named Sam, who lives with his mother after she separated from his father. Sam is obsessed with the hero Samaritan and keeps reading and listening to stories about his heroics and battles everywhere. The next day, as Sam is coming back from school, he is surprised to find that the landlord has seized their apartment because they owe a lot of overdue rent, and Sam's mother is in a very tough financial situation. Sam gets very upset and walks the streets, sad and frustrated, until he meets his friend, Jace. He tells Jace that their apartment has been seized and their financial situation has become very difficult. Jace tells him that he has a way to make a lot of money in a short time, and that this money will help him support his mother in these circumstances and solve all their problems. Sam immediately agrees. Jace takes him to steal wires from an abandoned house to sell them to a big gang in the area. After stealing the wires, they go to the gang's headquarters. The gang leader's name is Cyrus, but he doesn't meet Sam and Jace himself. He sends his men to take the stolen goods. Sam gets his money from the gang members, but he's upset because the money is not enough. One of the gang members offers him another job for more money. He explains that the job is very easy and won't require any effort. The job is simply to distract the shopkeeper so the gang can steal some things from the shop. Sam thinks the job is easy and is tempted by the money, so he goes with them and keeps the shopkeeper busy, distracting him from the gang who steal everything they want and leave without being seen. Afterwards, Sam goes with them to the headquarters to get his money. But there they all discover that they stole the wrong boxes, and these were not the boxes they wanted to steal. So the whole job is ruined, and they can't go back and steal from the shop again. The gang members lie and blame Sam, saying he stole the wrong boxes so that the gang leader won't punish them. At this moment, the gang leader's virus intervenes and punishes his men because it turns out he knows everything from the beginning. He goes to Sam and says he is impressed by him, his personality, and his courage, and gives him a larger amount than he was supposed to take in the operation, and tells him that he has now officially become one of his men. So Sam takes the money from him and returns home and gives his mother the late rent money, so his mother pays it to the owner of the house, and they can enter the house again without any problems. After that, his mother sits with him and asks him where he got the money from. So he tells her that she didn't ask him when she took the money from him, and she came to ask him now. So his mother gets upset with him and leaves him and goes. The next day, while Sammy is in the street, he meets Cyrus's men, who were punished yesterday because of him. Sam is afraid that they will beat him again, so he starts running away from them, and they chase him away. After a long chase, they are able to catch him, and they keep beating him because of what happened to them. Because of him, until suddenly, an old man named Joe intervenes, who is Sam's neighbor and works as a cleaner, and Joe enters. He pushes the gang members away with great force, to the point that he sends them flying in the air and begins to confront them alone and beats them with great skill, and he defeats them all with the utmost ease. In the end, he makes them run away while Sam watches him in amazement and cannot believe his eyes. At this moment, Sam suspects that Joe is the hero Samaritan who lives in the city hidden. This is because no normal person, even a young man, can do all that he did. For this reason, Sam returns to his home and begins to watch Joe from afar with his binoculars. He notices scars and burns on Joe's back. Because of this, he begins to feel that Joe is really Samaritan. To make sure, he goes to spy on Joe's apartment and is surprised that Joe is listening to the police radio so that he can hear about any crime or accident that happens and go save whoever can be saved. From this moment, Sam is sure that Joe is Samaritan and that he lives there hidden and that no one knows anything about him. At the same time, we see Cyrus and his men wearing police uniforms and riding in a police car. They are on their way to a new operation. Cyrus and his men go to the police station and blow it up. He enters the safe and possession area. This is not to take the money and drugs that are there, but to take all of Nemesis's belongings that are there, because the police issued all of these things after the explosion of the power station a long time ago. Cyrus takes Nemesis's mask, and more importantly, he takes his super powerful hammer. This hammer is very powerful, and Nemesis made it to kill Smart. Cyrus is very happy, and his eyes are full of evil. Until now, no one knows what he intends to do with this hammer. Meanwhile, Sam goes to a journalist in the city who is crazy about Smart. Sam tells him everything he knows about Joe and tells him that he suspects that Joe Garo is Smart. But the journalist is not convinced by his words and tells him that he might be an old man, a bit strong and healthy, and might have burns from an old accident, and is spying on the police just out of curiosity and nothing more. He asks him to bring him any sufficient evidence that proves that Joe is Smart, and then he will believe him and publish about him in the newspapers. Sam agrees and decides to watch Joe all the time until he finds conclusive evidence that he is Smart. The next day comes, and we see Sam watching Joe and waiting for him to leave his house. While Joe is leaving his house, he notices Sam watching him, but he does not pay any attention to him and leaves him and walks. As soon as he leaves, Sam sneaks into Joe's house and keeps looking for any evidence until he finds a file on all of Samaritan's battles with details that no one knows except Samaritan himself. At that moment, Sam is 100% sure that Joe is Samaritan. He takes the file with him to show it to a journalist, but at night, Sam is surprised when Joe comes to his house and talks to Sam's mother, complaining about Sam and saying that he is a thief and stole important things from him. Sam apologizes to Joe and returns the file to him. Sam's mother begs Joe not to call the police. Joe agrees and leaves them. The next day, Sam meets Joe by chance in the street. Sam tells Joe that he knows he is the hero Samaritan because of the file with all his stories. Joe tells him that he's just a fan of Samaritan, like Sam, and that he's been collecting all his news and stories from everywhere for a long time. Joe leaves. As soon as he leaves, the same gang members Sam fought before show up and hit Joe with a car. Normally, a hit like that would kill anyone, especially an old man like Joe. But the surprise is that when Sam goes to check on him, he finds Joe still alive. Joe gets up as if nothing happened, and Sam watches him, happy and amazed, now sure that he is Samaritan. After that, Sam takes Joe to his house and asks him not to tell anyone about his secret. Sam promises, and they talk for a while until Sam notices that Joe eats huge amounts of ice cream. Sam asks him why, and Joe explains that his body temperature rises a lot after his body heals itself, so he has to cool down by any means. Otherwise, his temperature might keep rising until he dies. Sam then asks him about his brother Nemesis and wonders why Joe survived the explosion while his brother died, even though they both had the same superpowers. Joe avoids the topic and doesn't answer. Meanwhile, Cyrus and his men go to the busiest street in the city and blow it up. Cyrus wears Nemesis's mask, takes his hammer, stands on top of a car, and claims to be Nemesis. He addresses the poor and homeless giving a speech about the corrupt system in their city that made them poor and homeless, saying they must revolt, overthrow the system, and rule the city themselves. Everyone is deeply moved by his words and decide to follow him and start a revolution. Cyrus makes them wear masks, like his nemesis mask, and orders them to spread chaos and destruction throughout the city, claiming that from now on, the city belongs to them. They all get excited, put on the masks, and start destroying the city. The next day, Sam goes to watch Joe as usual. Joe sees him and tells him to stop following him. Joe takes Sam with him, and they spend the whole day together, and it becomes clear that their relationship is developing, and Joe is starting to accept Sam more than before. After spending the whole day together and getting to know each other better, they each go home. The next day, Sam comes to ask Joe to teach him how to fight so he can defend himself. At first, Joe refuses, but after Sam insists, he agrees. Joe starts training him, and during training, Sam gets a bit heated and hits Joe. But since Joe's body is very strong, like steel, Sam hurts his own hand. Joe takes him home to treat him, and they talk for a while. Sam asks Joe about Nemesis again, but this time Joe gets angry, yells at him, and kicks him out of the house. Sam leaves very upset. While walking in the street, Sam runs into Cyrus and his men in a car. Cyrus offers him a large sum of money to come with him, and Sam agrees. They take him to their headquarters and tell him his task is very simple: to stand in front of the headquarters and whistle if he sees the police, nothing more. They leave him and go inside. As usual, the curious Sam sneaks in to spy on them and discovers that Cyrus plans to destroy the power station. The surprise is that he sees Cyrus torturing and killing a police officer. As soon as he sees this, he runs away immediately. While escaping, Sam sees Cyrus's men beating up his friend Jess. He gets very brave and intervenes to protect Jess, so they grab and beat Sam instead, until he passes out from the beating. After he passes out, they put him in a shopping cart and leave him in front of his house. The surprise is that they see Joe watching them from the window. They are shocked because he is still alive after they ran him over with the car and drove away. They go to Cyrus and tell him they tried to kill an old man and hit him with the car very hard, but he is still alive and completely unharmed. Cyrus is surprised and says he must meet this old man and orders them to bring him immediately. At the same time, Joe takes Sam to the hospital for treatment. When he leaves the hospital, he is surprised to find Cyrus's men surrounding him, telling him to come with them. Of course, Joe fights them one by one, throwing one of them very far in front of everyone in the street. People gather and watch as Joe easily flips over a whole car with his hand to protect a little girl from a bomb thrown by one of the gang members. The crowd is watching and filming everything. As soon as the police arrive, Joe escapes immediately. Joe returns home, packs his things to flee the city, but Sam comes and tells him that he heard Cyrus planning to destroy the power station. Joe tells him to go inform the police because he doesn't want to get involved. Sam argues with him, calls him a coward, and leaves angrily. Meanwhile, one of Cyrus's men who fought Joe goes to Cyrus and tells him that Joe is Samaritan. Cyrus decides to finish Joe off using the super hammer. He takes the hammer and his men and goes to Joe's house, but finds no one there. Looking out the window, Cyrus sees Sam in the house that's opposite and concludes there is a connection between Sam and Joe. He decides to use Sam as bait to lure Joe into saving him so he can kill Joe. Cyrus's men chase and kidnap Sam from his mother. At that time, Joe is at the train station, about to leave the city. After some thought and hesitation, he changes his mind and decides to return for Sam. When he returns, he finds Sam's house in chaos and Sam's mother on the floor in bad shape. He learns that Cyrus kidnapped Sam, gets very angry, and decides to go rescue him as Cyrus wants. Joe goes to the place where Cyrus is and starts taking out his men one by one. Cyrus welcomes him and threatens to kill Sam, so Joe tells him to let Sam go and he can do whatever he wants with him. But Cyrus refuses and tells him that Sam must be there and see what will happen. Cyrus starts hitting Joe with the hammer, and with every hit with the hammer, Joe starts to regain his memories. Here comes the surprise, and we discover that long ago, when Samaritan was confronting Nemesis at the station, Samaritan was about to kill Nemesis, but because he is a good person, he changed his mind and left him. Because the whole place was on fire, the ground Samaritan was standing on was destroyed, and he was about to fall into fire. So Nemesis goes to help him, but he doesn't make it, and Samaritan falls into the fire and dies. Here we discover that Nemesis is the one who stayed alive, and that Joe is Nemesis. But after what happened to his brother, he changed for the better and became a good person. He lives his life in a state without problems, and we return to the present time and see the fight between Cyrus and Joe. After that, Joe gets very angry and takes the hammer from Cyrus and continues to hit him and his men until Cyrus takes Sam and takes him to the roof of the building in order to throw him from above. But Joe knows this and beats Cyrus's men and finishes them off and goes up to the roof and finds the entire roof in love, and there is no one but Sam on top. So he approaches him in order to help him. But suddenly, Cyrus comes out from behind Joe and hits him, and they begin to confront each other again. And after a long fight, Joe is able to throw Cyrus into the fire and kill him. And after the battle is over, Joe's body begins to heal itself, and thus his body temperature increases, and he has nothing to use to lower his body temperature, and Joe remains very tired and is about to die. But at the last moment, Sam opens a water pipe, and it cools down Joe's body, and he is able to save him, and then Joe gets up and takes Sam and jumps with him from the top of the building, because the building is being destroyed, and they both go down in peace. And Joel confesses that it was Nemesis, not Samaritan, and tells him everything that happened in his battle and his brother, and tells him that he was the one who was the bad guy. But now he has changed for the better, because every person has good and evil inside him, and it is in his hand to choose the path. And Joe says goodbye to him, and walks because the police and the press arrived. And when Sam goes out to the police, and the journalists ask him who saved him from the fire, he tells them that the hero Samaritan is the one who saved him, and this is to make the people of the city have hope that Samaritan is still alive, and to let them know that good still exists. And at this time, Joe sees Sam talking to the journalists and saying this, and then he walks on his way to see a new city to live in without problems.